Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and welcome back to our Hanafi fiqh class. We are doing the kitab known as I'ala Sunan of Maulana Zafar Ahmad Thanvi rahimahullah, and tonight inshallah ta'ala we are starting a new chapter. So without extra delays, let's begin. Bismillahi walhamdulillahi wa salatu wa salamu ala rasulillahi wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa man wala. So tonight's chapter is باب حكم الوطء والصلاة إذا انقطع دم الحائض والنفساء لأكثر المدة أو في خلالها. Lengthy name, and the name itself gives the person a bit of an idea into the chapter. The chapter is the ruling with regards to a man sleeping with his wife or for a woman to perform salah when إذا انقطع دم الحائض والنفساء, when a woman who is in a state of menstruation or postpartum bleeding, حيض ونفاس, so she's in a state of hayd or nifas, and لأكثر المدة أو في خلالها, either the أكثر المدة, which would be 40 days for a woman in nifas, 10 days for a woman in hayd, أو في خلالها, or during the course of the hayd or nifas. In other words, to simplify the discussion over here so that it makes sense, a woman's habit for hayd is maybe 5 days. Maximum hayd is 10 days. If it's beyond 10 days, it's not hayd. Then it becomes istihada. But now, 5 days later, it's her habit, her normal habit of 5 days, and now she stops bleeding. Or 7 days is a habit. And then on 5 days, before her habit even, she stopped bleeding. What is to be done in this situation? So that's basically what is being spoken about. And likewise, the case of woman in after childbirth, either absolute maximum is 40 days. She can have 1 day nifas and it's over. I mean, there's no minimum exactly. So either she has a habit, maybe she's got a habit of 10 days or 15 days nifas. So 15 days later and the bleeding stops, in which case nifas is over. Or 10 days later now with a second child, suddenly her bleeding stops. So now what's the ruling now? Can she start performing salah? Can the husband sleep with her? That sort of thing. That's what's actually being discussed over here. Now it's a topic of a great deal of discussion between the Aimma and stuff of the sort, but let's see what has been mentioned here as far as the Hanafi madhab is concerned. So we are at hadith number 342 عن إبراهيم عن عمر بن الخطاب وابن مسعود رضي الله عنهما أنهما قالا قالا في الحائض إذا انقطع دمها فهي حائض ما لم تغتسل. أخرجه ابن الضياء في مسند أبي حنيفة والدارقطني كذا في كنز العمال. Okay, so Imam Ibrahim, he mentions that Hazrat Umar ibn al-Khattab radiyallahu anhu and Hazrat Abdullah ibn Mas'ud radiyallahu anhu, the two of them, they said concerning a woman who was in a state of hayd, إِذَا انْقَطَعَ دَمُهَا, if her bleeding has stopped, then فَهِيَ حَائِضٌ, then she is in a state of hayd, ما لم تغتسل, as long as she has not made ghusl yet. Now, this is a narration which has a great deal of difference amongst the Aimma as to what exactly does it mean. So, إذا انقطع دمها فهي حائض ما لم تغتسل. So some have taken it in the viewpoint that a woman is only out, meaning she can only make, obviously we know she can only make salah, but let's talk in the context more about husband and wife having relations. So according to some ulama, until she makes ghusl, they cannot have relations. Why? فَهِيَ حَائِضٌ. So they take it in that sense that she is in a state of haid until she has a ghusl. Other ulama say then she is treated technically as if she is in a state of ghusl. Others say that it is from a point of being mustahab, not a command. Others say, so there are many, many, many different viewpoints. I'm not going to say Hanbali madhab say this, Shafi'i madhab say that, and all things of that sort. That I will leave to the ulama of the specific madhahib to comment on it. So let's deal with what the Hanafi madhab say. So, إذا انقطع دمها فهي حائض ما لم تغتسل. The verbatim translation that if a woman's bleeding has stopped, then she is in a state of hayd as long as she has not made ghusl. Imam Ibn al-Diya has reported this narration in the Musnad Imam Abu Hanifa rahimahullah. So does Imam al-Daraqutni report it as well. This is mentioned in Kanzul Ummal. Now Mulana Zafar, he says, قلت رواه أبو حنيفة عن حماد عنه أخرجه الحافظ ابن خسرو بسنده إلى أبي حنيفة وأخرجه الحسن بن زياد في مسنده فرواه عن أبي حنيفة كذا في جامع المسانيد فالسند صحيح ومراسيل إبراهيم مقبولة عندهم. So he says, the first thing Imam Abu Hanifa rahimahullah reported from Imam Hamad, from Imam Ibrahim al-Nakha'i, from Hadrat Umar radiallahu anhu. So he says this is reported by Hafiz ibn Khusraw with his chain to Imam Abu Hanifa. It's also reported by Imam Al-Hasan ibn Ziyad al-Lu'lu'i in his Musnad, reporting he narrated he's the student of Imam Abu Hanifa. We touched upon him in the Ahnaf series a while back, the Ramadan Ahnaf series. But anyway, he said Imam Hassan ibn Ziyad in his Musnad from Imam Abu Hanifa, he mentions it, he narrated from Imam Abu Hanifa with the chain going up like this here. So he says this is mentioned in Jami' al-Masanid. So he says in short, the chain of narration is authentic, and the mursal narrations of people like Imam Ibrahim are accepted. You know, it's maqbool. And we've touched upon this point many times before in the past, which is the fact that mursal narrations in the early days, Imam Abu Hanif and Imam Malik's time, was something which was accepted. It was only from the time of Imam Shafi'i rahimahullah onwards that mursal became a form of being weak. But in the early days, across the board, Imam saw mursal as being 100% authentic. So yeah, especially when you had the likes of the Imam Hassan al-Basri, Imam Ibrahim al-Nakha'i, you know, these big tabi'een, when they would narrate something in a mursal form, Aima accepted it straight away. Anyhow, let's move quickly on to the next one, because there's only three narrations in this chapter, and then we can summarize everything in a nutshell. Moving to the next narration, حديث number 343. حدثنا هشيم أخبرنا ليث عن عطاء وطاووس أنهما قالا إذا طهرت المرأة من الدم وأدرك الرجل الشبق فليأمرها أن تتوضأ ثم يصيب منها إن شاء. أخرجه سعيد بن منصور كما في كنز الأعمال. قلت سند حسن وليث استشهد به مسلم في صحيحه كما مر في الكتاب. So he says Imam Hushaym narrates from Imam Layth ibn Sa'ad, from Imam Ata and Imam Tawus, the two of them, who said that إذا طهرت المرأة من الدم, if a woman's hayd has come to an end, وأدرك الرجل الشبق, and you know, a man gets desire to sleep with his wife, but her hayd has just ended, she hasn't even made ghusl yet, then what should he do? فليأمرها أن تتوضأ, then he should command it to make wudu. ثم يصيب منها إن شاء, then he can go and sleep with her if he wants to. So here you have and this is why I said there's so much difference of opinion amongst Imma in this regard. The first narration made it seem as if the woman is in a state of hayd until she has ghusl. So if you say that she is in a state of hayd, then this narration here is contradicting it, because now they are saying she's not in a state of hayd, she has basically need to make wudu. So first one says she needed to make a ghusl, second one says she needs to make wudu only. So you know, you have from the one part which says it must be done, next one say if you want to do it, but your wudu suffices for it. But let's move on. So it's reported by Imam Sa'id ibn Mansur and Imam Zafar. He says that the chain of narration is Hassan, and Imam Layth, Imam Muslim regards uses him as proof in his Sahih, and this has been touched upon previously in the Kitab itself. But let's do the final narration. Hadith number 344. أخبرنا أبو حنيفة عن حماد عن إبراهيم قال إذا طهرت المرأة في وقت صلاة فلم تغتسل حتى يذهب الوقت بعد أن تكون مشغولة في الغسل فليس عليها قضاء. كتاب الآثار لمحمد رحمه الله قلت سند صحيح. Okay, so the last narration in this chapter, Imam Abu Hanifa rahimahullah reports from Imam Hamad, from Imam Ibrahim, who said that إذا طهرت المرأة, if a woman becomes pure في وقت الصلاة, during the time of a salah. So let's say it's the time of Maghrib. Let's work with a shorter time like Maghrib rather than long one like Isha. So Maghrib time comes in, and Maghrib is, let's work on 7:30, even though it's not 7:30 right now, but let's say it's 7:30, and that's when the time of Maghrib comes in. And let's say the time of Isha comes in at 9 o'clock. So you've got 7:30 to 9. So في وقت الصلاة فلم تغتسل حتى يذهب الوقت. So upper 7, the time of Maghrib came in, and she was busy working, and she did not get a chance to make ghusl. حتى يذهب الوقت بعد أن تكون مشغولة في الغسل فليس عليها قضاء. So, the time of the salah entered, and the time of the salah exited while she was busy making ghusl. فليس عليها قضاء. Then in that case, there is no qada upon her. So the time of Maghrib entered at 7:30. The woman was still in a state of Haydh, so to speak. But then during the course of Maghrib, her Haydh ended here at 8:45. So now she decided, hey, you know what? I'm gonna go and make my, because she was judging herself. She says, like, well, I know it's probably gonna end soon. So quarter to 9, she says it's over. So she gets done and she goes to have a ghusl. While she's busy having ghusl over there, boom, she hears, hey, there's the adhan going off. It's 9 o'clock already. I thought I would have been out by now. Sometimes you get a long shower. So then she was busy with ghusl when the time of the salah exited. Does she have to make that salah? Meaning, does she have to perform that Maghrib salah? So the short answer is فَلَيْسَ عَلَيْهَا قَضَى. There is no qada for her, meaning that salah gets waived. She is not required to perform that salah. Why? Because in simple terms, one of the conditions for a salah to become fard upon her is that she had become pure and had sufficient time to make her ghusl, then there will be qada upon her. So if she became pure and she went into bath at 8 o'clock and she was sitting there, having 400 liters fall over her like that. So for a whole hour, she's standing there or whatever, having a bubble bath, whatever. So the time is going on. Now 9 o'clock comes in and it's like, oh, I lost track of time because I've been sitting here. She has to make qada. Why? Because there was more than sufficient time for her to make ghusl. She delayed unnecessarily and thus the salah went out. In the first case, the woman had 15 minutes. So 15 minutes should be sufficient, but I'm giving an example. It just simply means in the one case, the woman did not have sufficient time to become pure and make ghusl. Thus, in the course of her, yes, she was pure when the time of Maghrib was in, but there was not sufficient time for her to make ghusl and the salah. So while she was busy with ghusl, the salah time exited, in which case there's no qada. But in this second scenario over here, she delayed by having a long bath over there for an hour. So in her case, she has to make qada. That's the difference between the two. So this is reported in Kitab al-Athar of Imam Muhammad rahimahullah, and Mulana Zafar says that the chain of narration is authentic. So nonetheless, so the narrations over here are three different ones, and they don't exactly explicitly relate to the chapter head title. So let's put things in its perspective. What is the ruling with regards to a man sleeping with his wife or a woman making salah if her bleeding stops during the course of her time for Hayd or Nifas or upon reaching the maximum? So, in short, when we come to the fiqhi mas'ala in this regard, there are basically different scenarios. Number one is when 10 days have passed, in which case there is no more hayd beyond this point. And if 40 days have passed, there is no nifas beyond this point. So she makes her ghusl straight away, she can perform a salah. It's not like, can it be over, can't be over. Sometimes a woman is like unsure, it ended a little bit early. Is it really over? Maybe to come back again tomorrow. My habit is 7 days. It's only been 6 days, but suddenly it stopped. I'm going to hold on a little bit and just see. That hesitancy don't exist beyond 10 days. It doesn't exist beyond 40 days because the time is now officially over. So that's how it goes. So that's case number one. When that is لأكثر المدة, the maximum time, then it's over. Second scenario is في خلالها has got two situations. Number one is when a woman has got her habit. So her nifas habit is 20 days, her haid habit is 7 days. For example, it can be any amount, but I'm just making examples. So 7 days later, her haid ends. It can go up to a maximum of 10 days. A woman's habit can change. So she may have another 3 days. She may have from 20 days, and ifas may have shifted to 30, 40 days. It could have changed. So that is in this situation. And the third situation is when a woman's habit is 7 days for Hayd, but now 6 days later, the blood has stopped. Her habit for nifas is 20 days, but 15 days later, it has stopped. In this sort of situation, she's expecting it to go beyond this point, but suddenly it came to an end. So, nonetheless, the when you find yourself in the situation that the 10 days, coming back to the first thing, لأكثر المدة. So the maximum time, 10 days have gone by or 40 days for nifas has gone by. In this case, the husband can sleep with his wife before she even makes ghusl. So let's discuss this one. As you know, one of the conditions for performance of salah is having ghusl. So obviously, we don't have to discuss specifically, does a woman need to go and make ghusl before she can make salah? Obviously, she has to make ghusl before she has to make salah. But for the husband to sleep with her, she don't have to go make ghusl before they can sleep together. That's the difference over here. So that's with regards to akthar mudda, when the maximum of amount of time has passed by. That's situation one. Scenario two was when the woman's habit has passed. So she's 7 days normally for her haid, 20 days for her nifas, and 7 days have passed by, and she now became pure. This is في خلالها, let's put it this way. Then can once again, we goes without saying, she can't make salah until she has a ghusl. But now with regards to the husband sleeping with her, 7 days is just over, boom, jumping into bed, not exactly. So there's two conditions, to one of two. If one of two things are met, then it's fine. Number one is that she makes a ghusl. So by her making ghusl in this situation here after her 7 days, meaning her haid has a possibility of moving up to 8, 9, 10 days. But it's she's reached her normal habit amount. So if she makes ghusl, her husband can sleep with her. That's number one. Number two is if, and likewise the same applies to nifas, she's seen the blood has stopped now. So it's on her habit and she ends, then she has to make ghusl. Thus, the first narration from Hadrat Umar radiallahu anhu and Hadrat Abdullah bin Mas'ud radiallahu anhu, we understand this narration here. إِذَا انْقَطَعَ دَمُهَا فَهِيَ حَائِضٌ مَا لَمْ تَغْتَسِلْ. So that's why I said let's read everything so that everything can be put into its place later on. So this narration refers to situation number 2, where her ada has been reached 7 days. And keep in mind, it's only an example I'm giving of 7 days. It can be whatever, but she's reached her habit amount, whether for nifas or for haid. Then she is deemed to be in a state of haid until she makes ghusl. So I said there were one of two things that need to be met. Number one is that she performs her ghusl, or number two is that sufficient time passes by. Now, what is sufficient time? Sufficient time means that let's put it this way, the time of Maghrib, like we just spoke now, how does the ghusl, what makes this in the third situation where the woman didn't have to make qada, it was because there wasn't sufficient time for her to be pure and make ghusl before the time expired. So that was that. So you have now a case, 7 o'clock the woman became 7 o'clock time, 7:30 Maghrib came in, 8 o'clock the woman became pure. It's now 10 o'clock already at night. Sufficient, or let's put it this way, Asr time already she became pure. Now it's Isha. Salahs have gone by her. She has to make qada already of that. So if they were to sleep together here now, that's that second situation. And that is the next narration over here, which is فَلْيَأْمُرْهَا أَن تَتَوَضَّأَ. Then he should command her that at least, go and make your wudu. Although he should have been forcing her to go and make a ghusl and make a salah, because where she going for 2, 3 salahs, just delaying unnecessarily. that is sinful in its own point. But nonetheless, he tells her, go and make your wudu, then they can go and sleep together. So the narrations are in essence speaking about different scenarios, and they're not all one and the same thing. But because the Imma all looked at it differently, therefore you have many different viewpoints between the ulama in this regard. So without doubt, without question, the best thing and the safest thing is that woman goes and make her ghusl. Really, if you spend time and effort and arguments and debates, if it isn't it, just go and bath yourself. Then it's over, and there's no need to debate and get 24 different fatawa. Is the what you call this thing now? Was the ghusl done? Wasn't it done? This and that. Why? When if you made your ghusl, boom, finish, end of story. Then the husband don't have to ask, did I do the wrong thing because I was having needs that day, and then I suddenly just went. You don't have to deal with any unnecessary questions and worries if she just made her ghusl. So nonetheless, like I say, there's much difference of opinion amongst the ulama in this regard, but we understand the narrations in this way. Like I've explained, this narration the one of Hadrat Umar and Hadrat Abdullah ibn Mas'ud radiyallahu anhuma refers to the situation when a woman's ada, her habit, she's reached her habit, and she's not yet made her ghusl. Or in the case of the woman whose Haydh ends before her habit. So she's normally been having a habit of 7 days, but 5 days later, suddenly it stops. And she knows herself already, and she's like, the way I feel, it's not coming back. The cramps and things are gone. So it's like, I don't know what's going on here, but some hormonal changes happened and it has ended. So thus, in this situation here, فَهِيَ حَائِضٌ مَا لَمْ تَغْتَسِلْ. Then she should make a ghusl, and then she will be pure, and everything that goes along with it. That is for that situation. But the next narration here of her making a wudu, we will say that this is referring to the next scenario where the maximum amount of time has passed by, 10 days, things of this sort. Then if she hasn't made a ghusl yet, it is permissible for him and her to sleep together, but he should tell her to make wudu. Now, this again, like I said, amongst the imam, is it a command of being wajib, or is it for the sake of being mustahab? Once again, you have differences in that regard. But nonetheless, over here, then let him tell her to go and make a wudu. I mean, how long does it take you to make a wudu? So let her make a wudu, and then they can go and sleep together. That's the next thing. Different scenarios, hence different narrations. And therefore, in short, there is no contradiction between the narrations because they are just simply speaking about different scenarios. Yeah, there was a lot of high talk and probably quite a bit of confusion the way it was explained, but hopefully the matter is clear. But anyway, if there are any questions, you are welcome to ask your questions. But yeah, that's the end of that chapter. Next week, inshallah ta'ala, we will continue on from the next chapter. I think we'll stop here because I've already taken too much time just on 3 narrations. But that being said, if there are no questions, we will end on this point for tonight, inshallah. Like I always say, you're always welcome to ask your questions anytime during the class. You don't have to be only at the end, at the beginning, whenever, anytime something pops up in your mind, you're welcome to ask your questions. But so be it. It doesn't seem like there are any questions coming in. So therefore, we will end on this point for tonight, inshallah ta'ala. Until next time, we end and we say, وَصَلَّى اللَّهُ وَسَلَّمَ وَبَارَكَ عَلَى نَبِيِّنَا مُحَمَّدٍ سُبْحَانَ اللَّهِ وَبِحَمْدِهِ سُبْحَانَكَ اللَّهُمَّ وَبِحَمْدِكَ نَشْهَدُ أَن لَّا إِلَهَ إِلَّا أَنْتَ نستغفرك ونتوب إليك والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.